This video was recorded live before a canned studio audience. It's Friday Night Movie Reviews, and here they are, Chris and Keith.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Keith,
I'm Chris.
and this is Friday Night Movie Reviews. Thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it when you come to see us. We like seeing you as well. Look, we went and saw another movie. Wow, and we've gotten to where we kind of go on Thursdays now.
Yeah,
Because a lot of fans show up on the Thursday.
and you're talking like super fans that actually know more than we do. Like
Right.
we were kind of getting schooled there at the end.
Right, right. So we went and saw a movie over the weekend, and this is part of a franchise of movies that has been. It's actually been out for quite some time. In fact, one guy actually pointed out to us that if they had just waited a couple of more years, then this movie would have been right on target
For 28 years.
for 28 years. And
Yep.
and in case you haven't guessed, we actually went and saw the movie 28 years later. So, let's give them a little breakdown of what happened, what this movie is about.
Okay. The easiest thing is to point out that this is not your standard George Romero zombie movie. That would just we need to press that. So
Right.
these people are still alive. They're suffering from some kind of virus, disease, rage disorder. I
Right.
compare it to rabies, even though doesn't have all the commonalities of rabies or whatever.
Right.
But so you start out in the original movie, the virus breaks out in England. You had Cillian Murphy in the original.
And in case you don't know, the original was called 28 Days Later.
Yep. And then Jeremy Renner was in the sequel called 28 Weeks Later. Before he got famous, way before he played Hawkeye, he was like fresh baby faced. You can tell in that movie, like
Yeah.
fresh new
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah.
And then they skipped 28 months later. No sequel there.
Right.
And then finally they just went right to 28 years later. Now, to note, same director, writer. So you have Danny Boyle directing, you have Alex Garland writing. They've returned. Now, they didn't do 28 Weeks Later, so they skipped that one. And just as kind of a warning, if you've seen these other two movies and you're going into this one, note that they kind of avoid the events of 28 Weeks Later. So it's
Right.
not homework if you want to skip that one.
Right.
Like you can just watch
Right.
the first one, then watch this one, because they actually had nothing to do with 28 Weeks Later, as it turns out. I wasn't aware of that. I thought they produced it and all that kind of stuff, even though they didn't write and direct it. But
Now I'm probably stating the obvious here, but the reason why the movie is called 28 Days Later is because it actually, the majority of the movie takes place 28 days after the original outbreak.
exactly. And then obviously
then-
the sequel.
The sequel is 28 weeks after the original outbreak.
So-
And then this one is 28 years after the original outbreak. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why it has 28 blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so they skip like how normal zombie movies, you get to see the zombies that just start from the beginning. So
Right.
you're skipping the origin, basically. You know, not
Exactly.
seeing like day one of the virus and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you are in 28 days later, you do actually see how it infected humans.
Yes, they say by the blood droplets,
Mhm.
birds can actually bite, the infected, give it to somebody who's not infected. So actually animals can actually transmit the virus.
In the original, now I saw the original before we went and saw
Mhm.
this one. In the original, it looked to me like some conservationists were invading this animal experiment facility.
Yep.
And they were going to release these chimpanzees who were being held there and experimented on.
Mhm.
And one of the scientists tried to warn them to not open the cages
Yep.
because they were infected.
Yeah, and how many other movies have we seen where apes supposedly carrying a virus? We've had Planet of the Apes now, We've had that Dustin Hoffman movie Virus. I mean, and I think there was another one called Outbreak that did the exact same thing. So yeah, they kind of pulled from that playbook, unfortunately. So,
but it actually worked because
Yeah,
this was this was a little different. This wasn't a disease that actually this is not a disease that actually that you get infected with and die.
yes,
It causes you to go into a feral rage. So think of kind of like zombies that can run.
zombies that run. Yeah,
And I mean they run fast.
Oh yeah. So you better be ready to be a marathon sprinter, or you're getting
Right.
eaten.
Right. So this movie takes place 28 years after the original outbreak.
Yep.
Now we're not going to spoil anything because you really need if we tell too much, we're going to spoil some of the main plot.
Yep.
All right.
And we can get some of the other things out of the way first. There is some language in this, just to be
Right.
noted. I mean, it is a horror movie. It's zombies, so obviously there's some gore that you're going to see in it. There are adult situations in it. So
Adult situations, and this is also there is
with the feral zombies, there's a lot of
a
nudity.
crap ton of nudity. The ferals are the infected no longer wear clothes like they did in 28 Days Later. They don't wear clothes anymore. For some reason, when they get infected, they just strip all their clothes off and they just run naked.
Yep, and they travel like in packs, like
Totally.
wolves. Yeah.
Totally naked. So you're
Yeah.
seeing frontal nudity,
Men,
women, and I mean
And
all of the junk swinging back and forth.
Yeah, they really focus on the men ferals
Right.
Anatomy a lot. I'm just
Right.
like, this isn't equal. What happened to equal fairness in a movie, right? Like,
Well, I don't know if I'd want to see a feral woman anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but still, it's like a little much on the male ferals,
Right.
like,
Right.
and it was a little bit distracting. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
just show them from the waist up.
Yeah,
No,
from the waist up,
I
because
get it.
they made sure they panned out so that they could show the full body there and the full
Things swinging and-
and I mean,
Yeah,
it was pretty graphic. Of course, I mean, it is the UK, so hey,
Yeah. And then this is definitely people from the UK. I've watched a couple of UK reviewers that reviewed this movie, and they said that they hope Americans get it because this was written more for a UK viewer. So-
Right, and you can tell it was because of some of the references they made in the film, and because of the setting, of course, and because they just went so they went so full on with the whole nudity thing. I mean, we just don't do that here. We just don't do that here in America.
Yep.
Not too much.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was so this is definitely not something you want to take the kids to see. It's something that when it comes on streaming, you want to close the door. You don't want to put it in your video collection for your kid to maybe pop into the DVD player and watch.
And that is something to bring up because this is a Sony movie, so it will be on Netflix within 4 months. So just be aware that, hey, maybe not turn this on unless they're already put to bed kind of situation. Unless it's like a grown teenager.
Right.
Obviously, by then, the teenagers are desensitized to that kind of thing. But like little kids,
Now, we will point this out as well. 28 Days Later was it was kind of a thriller. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
This one, not so much.
Yeah, we will say that the trailers are a misdirect.
Right.
So don't go into this thinking that this movie is about just zombies eating people.
Right.
That's not what this movie is at all.
No, it's not.
So if you're going thinking, oh, this is just classic zombie horror movie, you're going to be well mistaken.
Right.
This is a well-acted, well-written, emotionally driven movie.
It has a much deeper storyline.
Yeah, and
than the original.
And I ever expected. Like I kind of went in blind to this movie. And I guess that's another thing to point out. This is only, like we said, this is only part 1 of 2.
Right. Yeah. That was something else I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Don't be too disappointed at the end because it's going to do kind of kind of like Mission Impossible did,
And
Uh,
Into the Spider-Verse.
and Into the Spider-Verse, it's going to end quite abruptly.
Yeah,
And it's going to leave you with more questions than answers.
And the only reason I bring that up, and it's not really a spoiler at this point, because Sony's already put out a press statement and everything, and I've seen articles all over the place about it now. So the cat's out of the bag. So if you weren't aware yet, I'm sorry, but it's just at this point, if you're watching this review, you're probably already aware of it.
Right.
And most people, I mean, we were taken aback, but the articles didn't come out until after we saw the movie. So.
Yeah, we saw it, and after it was over, we were like,
"What?
Huh?" I mean, we sat and watched for an end credit scene.
There wasn't one.
But there was not one. There's no end credit scene whatsoever. There is nothing cluing you in that it's going to be a part 2. It just ends. And I mean, you can tell by the way that it ends that there may be a part 2.
Yeah.
But
because it just ends kind of jarringly.
Right.
I will say that probably will hurt the film for a lot of people, because people hated when that happened with the Into the Spider-Verse. A lot of people didn't like it with Mission Impossible.
Right.
They weren't aware that it was a part 1. So I think if you've been seeing mixed reviews online, that's partly the reason why Sony should have made that clear up front that this was just a part 1. And
I mean, it took some of those really diehard fans that were watching it with us to actually let us know, hey, there's a part 2.
Yeah, and these were people that were like straight up Danny Boyle and Alex Garland fans too.
Right,
besides just being a fan of this trilogy, they just were all in it, and they knew stuff. And I was floored. I was like, I'm not used to being schooled in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's us schooling, other people that stay behind. But since they were still there and they were waiting the same way we were for a little nugget of something extra, we figured we'd ask them. We're like, hey, what did you think of the movie while we were there? And they were giving us all this information.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was taken aback. And just the movie itself, I will say that it has a lot of nice surprises in it that like I said, I didn't see coming. And it's a very pleasant movie. Like, it's not your typical horror fare, which is something you don't see a lot in the horror genre. That kind of range.
Yeah, it doesn't really have like I said, if you're going into this for the horror aspect of it, you may actually be disappointed, because it's not this is not an Until Dawn type of movie.
No.
It's not really a Final Destination kind of movie.
Nope.
It's definitely not a Scream kind of movie. This is and it's not a Night of the Living Dead kind of thing either. This actually has a storyline to it. So if you're going into it thinking that you're going to see a classic horror kind of film, you're going to be very disappointed. And that's where that's kind of where the trailers led.
Yeah, and that's where it's very misleading, is they have you believing that it's this certain type of movie, like the first one.
Right.
And even, to be honest with you, the first one was artistic the way it was shot and everything else. It wasn't like the normal Romero shot zombie movie. So even that one should have gave you a hint that, hey, these guys are doing just a little bit more than the regular horror fare. And they've continued that, and they've kind of went more of the course with this. Now, as far as general audiences go, I don't know how well they're going to respond to this. Like, they were unable to obviously dethrone How to Train Your Dragon this weekend, so they were the number 2 movie, and they haven't hit their break-even point, which is a shame to me, because I actually want more movies like this.
It was kind of a nice surprise.
Yeah.
To see something that was more artistic in the way of horror films, rather than something that was just completely and totally horror slasher, zombie eating your face kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a little more refreshing in that respect.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the rating of it. I mean, we've covered the don't let your kids watch it. It's got foul language in it. It's violent. It has adult situations. It's got full
on
nudity in it. So keep it out of reach of your kids for the video collection, and maybe even like go into your streaming services and click the, they can't watch that one.
Yeah, it's loaded. So just be aware. Even though it does have like the more than a horror movie, those elements are going to kind of keep it to where Yeah. I'm gonna have to be real careful when I watch this one.
I mean, because it is. I mean, it's got some pretty violent stuff in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
so even though it's not the regular horror fare, it still has those violent
Yeah,
moments in it.
yeah.
So just be aware.
So, what did you think of the movie?
I really liked it. I was surprised that it wasn't what I expected it to be in a good way. The movie is very artistic. It's very emotional. I like how it was shot. The actors surprised me. There's a young man that plays the son of Aaron Taylor Johnson that you see from the trailers, and he carries this movie.
He does.
And I've never seen him in anything else. The actress that plays his mother, Jodie Comer, she's been awesome in everything I've ever seen her in, and she really helped this movie out a whole lot too. Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's in it, but he's not the one carrying this movie on his back.
Right.
I know he's become kind of Sony's go-to guy now because he played, if you, shameless plug, our Craven review. He played Craven.
Yeah, he did.
Go watch
He did.
that review if you haven't seen that one. So I have to shameless plug every now and then. If I could find a link, I'm going to. But so he doesn't carry this movie. So if you're an Aaron Taylor Johnson fan, you're going to be disappointed because the real star of this movie is the kid.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, it does show him.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
but he's not the main character in this movie.
Yeah, by a long shot.
Yeah.
And then Ray Fiennes, his character is great. So if you love him from Harry Potter or Schindler's List or any of the other movies that he's done, he is absolutely phenomenal in this.
Mhm.
I will say that Cillian Murphy is not in this one. He's coming back for the one after this one. That's been announced by Sony, so I don't mind. So again, that's where some of the disappointment. People were getting confused, thinking he
Right.
was in this one, but he's not.
Right,
So,
right.
So if you're waiting for Cillian Murphy, which I was, and I was like, well, where is he showing up? But I wasn't aware that they had split this into two movies. So
the question to answer is it worth your cash or is it trash? I'm going to say that this movie is worth your cash because this is definitely not one that's on par with, with recent horror films.
yeah,
This one right here is so different. It's kind of like one of those niche kind of things, sort of like a Blade Runner
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of movie, something like that. This one is going to be. I really don't expect this movie to do well at the box office because I think a lot of people are going to misunderstand it.
Oh yeah, this is going to be one of those ones that's going to be reinterpreted over the years, gather a cult following.
Dune,
Yeah, like Dune. It's
Yeah.
more in line with that,
right?
and that makes me happy in a way. So like in 2 or 3 a generation away, at least from me, people will still be analyzing this movie, talking
Right.
about this movie. People will
Right.
be buying it on whatever sets come out.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be one of those type of things. So this movie will have a legacy behind it.
So I would say that this is definitely worth your cash. If you do like cult type movies, go and watch this. Go and watch this because this is definitely worth your time. If you don't like movies that are kind of off the beaten path, then you probably won't like this movie. So know that going into it, that it's not a regular kind of movie. I would say if I was to give this a rating, I would probably give this a rating of about 7.5. And I think the reason why I give it the 7.5 is because of the amount of because the surprise ending.
Yeah.
And
They could have ended it a little bit better than they did.
well, not just ended a little better than they did, but they could have at least let people know, hey, don't worry, there is a part 2.
Yeah, they could have pulled it Back to the Future too, where they actually show you a trailer at the end for the third film. Like, that would have been nice.
Or like like the Marvel movies, Captain America will return
Yeah.
in blah 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly. That
Something to that effect.
Yeah, I would have been happy with that too. Something to let you know, because it just ends so abruptly, and you're just like,
I mean, even if they just flashed up there to be continued.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there would have been like the peanut butter on the jelly.
oh yeah, it needed that, and in hindsight, I'm sure they're probably sitting there thinking, oh, We should have done that.
We should have put TB continued there.
Yeah, a little Back to the Future fanfare playing
Right.
behind it.
Right. I mean, that would have been better than nothing. Would have been
Oh, yeah.
better than it was. It would have been better than you having to depend on somebody who knows about it actually saying, "Hey, don't worry, part 2 is coming out in January." Which that's when part 2 is coming out.
Yeah, and that's one thing is like it was already a long movie to start with,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fact that we know we're going to have to sit through an equally long part 2. I like it when movies are kind of self-contained. I would have liked a beginning and an end, even though they could have left it open for another one. I would have
Right.
rather had more of that kind of feel to it.
Right.
So I'm kind of in the same vein with you with the 7.5 rating. And 2, I lower it that much because this is one of those movies that I'll watch over and over again as I get older.
Right.
And I'll gain more of an appreciation for it the more I watch it, just like
Right.
how I did with Blade Runner growing up. So this
Right,
is in
right.
that same vein. So right now my rating is a 7.5 as well. We'll see in 10, 15, 20 years what my rating is.
Right.
Or 28 years later.
Or
see-
maybe 28 years later.
Yeah, we'll see what
it's,
my rating is.
Yeah, the rating may change.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good movie. It's one that if you like this genre of film, if you're a fan of the series, it's definitely one that it's definitely one to go and watch, and definitely one to go and see. Just understand that it is a part 1, so don't expect to see the very end of it because you're not going to see the end of this. So, well, there's our cue to go.
Yep.
So it's a 7.5 for both of us. It gets 7.5 popcorns and 7.5 Pepsis.
Yep, I agree. All right, remember to hit that bell notification for when our next video drops. Remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave us a comment. What did you think of this movie? Are you waiting for Netflix? Let us know. I kind of want to garner a nice opinion about how everybody feels about this movie, because online it's been mixed.
And the series itself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just let us know how you feel about the series. Do you want us to review the other 2 movies in the series?
Right.
Wink, wink. And as always, thank you for watching.
And listen, this is a good movie to go and watch if you are into that kind of off the beaten path kind of film. So gather up some friends, get some family members together, and you guys hop in the car and ride on down the road. Listen, tell people about us. Tell them to subscribe. And when you go to the theater and you're sitting there, remember, enjoy your movie.